Okay, now we're going to be doing an example of a cookie. So right in here, this example, we're going to be dealing with special characters, right? So in our beginning of our code, you import these files, you import the encoding, which is just a package that will be used for encoding. For base64 encoding, you have the package errors that will be to manipulate errors. You have the HTTP package for the client and server, and you have the log package. So in the beginning of our code, we're going to be creating two var. That's why in Golang you can do this by saying var, which would be the type, and then put the two things in a bracket, the two variables in a bracket that you want, and then since they're the same type, this is allowed. So in our first var is going to be error too long, which will just generate an error that the cookie's value is too long. Our next one is error invalid value, which is generate an error because of saying that the cookies is invalid. So in our func main, nothing changes because we do not need to alter the function main. But in our set cookie handler, this is where we do our changes. So in our set cookie handler, you create cookie as normal, you give it a name, and here is where we deal with our special character. As you can see here, the E has two dots above it, so that is a special character, and it is unsupported by the cookie itself. So to implement this show, we're going to be have to implement a write and a read function that will be using the support US ASCII to help to show this variable. I mean this letter. So this is what will be changed. You say these are the same. These remain the same. The cookie remain the same. Okay, and then this is our function. I'm going to be showing you very quickly if what will happen if we run this without our read and write functions. So now, if I go to terminal, I do a new terminal. I say go run R. Oh, we're having some errors with that. So right one moment. Well, what would have happened is that what would have happened? I'm creating some errors because of how I implemented it. What would have happened is that if you have run it and if you had run the cookies that slash get, the E wouldn't have shown. The E wouldn't have shown. So we have to implement these functions here to let the E show. So in this, the right function is going to be taking the response and the cookie, right? And also be generating returning an error. So you say cookie and that value to get the values of the cookie is equal to the encoding. So what this does is this encodes to a string, encodes the values to a string that can be read, right? So we say if length of the cookie, if the length of the cookie is greater than 4096, we return the error value too long, which just says that the cookie at the top here, the cookie value is too long, right? And then this we set the and then we set the HTTP cookie, and we pass it in the response and the address of the cookie, and then we return a nil here for the error. Now for the read takes in a request and the name and a string type, and you're also going to be returning a string and a error. So for this, when we get the cookie, we say we have to pass in the variable cookie and an error, because the cookie, the request asks for that we have a name, which is a string, and then a error. So you say cookie that name, then we say if the error is an error, we return nothing. Right? So now we go to the value, which is going to be a type byte and an error. As it says here, that the value we need a byte and then an error. So when this does here, it decodes the string. So for here, it encodes the string that it can be read. That only the computer can be read. Here we decode the string so that it can be read by us humans and not in computer language. So we pass it base the encoding in base64, and then we give it the cookies values. Since here we encoded it, now we have to give it back to decode it here. If there is an error, we return an error. We return nothing and say that error invalid value, which just states that the cookie is invalid. And then we return the string value and an error. So now if we run this, we create a new terminal. We say go run that for all. The server is listening. We go here, we do the same thing again, the local host. We say local host 31, that's set to set the cookie. And then once the cookie has been set, we call the get, which is passing hello zoo. If we had not done the read and write, the letter E would not have been shown in the in here. It will only be Z and O, not the E. So, and that takes care of special characters.